Hi, good afternoon. This is Brian Begley with nCloud9, and today we are having our monthly webinar. The focus today is on the new sales forecasting features that are available as part of the Dynamics 365 April update. Being part of the Dynamics 365 April update means it's only available on the cloud. So if you're using Dynamics 365 on premise, these features are not available, but that doesn't mean they might not come at some point off in the future. So what is sales forecasting with Dynamics 365 and how does it differ from goals, which is what has been in part of Dynamics 365 for a long time? That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to focus on how to create a sales forecast and then how to work with opportunities in the sales forecast so that you can see how your sales team is working, how you are doing against your goals, and how forecasting helps organizations to be able to do better planning of their sales and their production. So as we saw in our last webinar, which was sometime in March, there were two major improvements to the sales features in Dynamics 365 in April 2020. The first one was the Kanban board. Kanban boards allow you to view your opportunities and some other records in a grid-like view and easily move them from stage to stage. I'm bringing that up here because Kanban boards actually have a place in forecasting, so you'll see the Kanban boards in Dynamics 365 while we're working on our sales forecasts. And then the second new function was sales forecasting, which expands on the built-in goals. And when I say expands, it really actually is a completely different feature, but it allows managers to build flexible forecasts of their sales so that they know what's coming up and what their sales team has got in the pipeline. So with that, let's talk a little bit about sales forecasting. First off, forecasting is not goals. Goals, if you have experience with Dynamics 365, were a way to build an annual or monthly or quarterly goal for a salesperson in your organization. And they were useful because you could track not just goals by money, but you could also do goals by activities or by numbers. So if you wanted to set a goal for your sales team to do 50 phone calls a day, you could create a phone call goal. If you wanted to use a goal for dollars sold per month, you could create a dollar-based goal. And they weren't just sales goals. They could be sales goals can be used for sales, for customer service. They could be used for cases opened, cases closed. So goals still exist in Dynamics 365, but goals were sometimes considered an administrative headache because you would have to continually create new goals. If you created one goal for 1 month and you wanted to do annual goals, you would have to create 12 goals for each salesperson. So there was some hacks that people had to make it easier to manage goals, but overall goals were a good idea. They weren't used very often though because they required a lot of administrative work. Forecasts, however, are a much simpler way of building up a sales goal for a particular salesperson or a group of salespeople. And they can be based on sales territory or hierarchy. So if you've built your sales territory in CRM, you can use the sales territory and see your sales by territory. Or if you have a managerial hierarchy, you can also build a forecast based on the hierarchy. I saw something where there is a products-based forecast coming soon, but as of right now, that's not available. You can have multiple forecasts. So you could have forecasts for different business units. You can have forecasts for different sales territories. So if you have different sales teams, you could have a sales forecast for each sales team that rolls up all the members of those sales teams. You can create them based on quarterly or monthly goals, and they can run for up to 1 year. In order to use forecast, you'll need to have a sales professional or sales enterprise license. They won't work with a team member, as team members really shouldn't have access to the sales opportunities and sales leads for ownership of those records. So in order to use the forecasting tools, you want to have the sales professional or sales enterprise license. So with forecasting, it's a bottoms-up methodology. So what that means is when you're creating a forecast in Dynamics, you can create a forecast for each individual team member. And those forecasts that you've created will roll up to the parent level. So if you have a team of 5 salespeople, each salesperson can have a different goal. They can have a different goal for each month or each quarter in the sales forecast. And we'll show you how you build those out. Salespeople, once you have created a goal for them, they can start tracking their performance against the targets you set for them. And then managers and directors can start measuring departmental sales and reallocate resources as needed. So that's the basics of the highlights of sales forecasting. I'm going to now show you how to create a sales forecast and then how to work with Dynamics 365 to track your opportunities against the forecasts. So I'm going to switch my screen here. All right. So we should be in my Dynamics 365 demo environment. And in my environment, we have 2 salespeople. And we have a sales dashboard that shows my open items currently in process. I can see my leads. And in order to go to sales forecasting, I have to go down to the bottom of my left-hand navigation. And I can go underneath performance. We have goals and we have forecasts. So I'm going to click on that real quick, and I'm going to show you a couple of forecasts that we've built. And we've built an annual forecast. And what we're seeing in this annual forecast is the users, the team members who are in that forecast, and how they are doing with their pipeline versus their won and their lost. So let's now go ahead and create a brand new forecast here. So I'm going to click on sales to go to this app settings. So in order to make these changes, you need to go to the app settings area, which is only available in the Sales Hub. So I go to my app settings and I scroll on my left and I can go to forecast configuration. So I'm looking at my forecast builder here. I'm given my 2 options, organizational chart or territory forecast. I'm going to create an organizational chart forecast and we're going to give it a name. And by default, the only entity we can use in a forecast is the opportunity. We can't change that to any custom opportunity, so we can't run it against quotes, orders, or invoices. Maybe in the future that will start becoming available to us. We have a view that's been created for us that is the default underlying records view. It's the opportunity forecast view. I'm going to leave that the same, but we could use open opportunities or some other view of data to show the records in this forecast. So then we need to determine who's the top of the hierarchy. And hierarchy comes from how we set up our users in CRM. We should make sure that all our users have a manager. So Brian Begley, that's me, I'm the top manager for sales at this organization. And anybody who's underneath me in the user record, and we can show you how that's set up, will show up under here. So I'm showing Brian and Deborah are the 2 people that are in this sales forecast. If I had more salespeople underneath me, I'd see their names as well. The next setting is we need to determine what's our forecasting period. So I can set it to either quarterly or monthly. I'm going to leave this quarterly for now. And we can say which fiscal year do we want to make this forecast for. I'm going to leave it at fiscal year 2020. And then we determine when do we want to start this forecast. Well, I'm going to start it back at Q1. And I can then say how many periods do we want in this forecast. I'm going to make it so it's 4 periods. So we have 4 quarters in this. So at this point, I have to click Next to go to my permissions settings. Now, permission settings allow me to determine who can see this forecast. So we can set it so that there's no additional security roles or all security roles or a specific security role. So if all security roles is clicked, that means anyone in my organization has access to view this forecast and to make changes to it. If we choose a specific security role, we might want to create a custom security role. If we just want my team to be able to see this forecast, I don't want other people outside of my team to see it, we might create a forecast specific security role, and we would give that security role access to see this forecast. I'm going to leave it with all security roles, and then I'm going to click Next. So at this point, we can start laying out the grid for our forecast. If you remember when we were originally looking at the forecast, we had a grid with our sales and our quotas all along the top. So we want to add some fields in here, and we want to add some fields from the option set that is called, and this will come up here soon. Give it a second. There's a new field that's added to the opportunity called, I think it's something like forecast status. And I can't get this to come up. Well, last time I did this, it took a few seconds for this to load up. Okay. What would usually happen here is we would have this is where we would add fields from the forecast field on the opportunity. Let me show you how that works. And I'm going to just log into my CRM in another tab here. Luckily, I have another CRM forecast up and running, so I can switch to that here. But if we go to our opportunity form, and I open up an opportunity, you'll see there's a new field called forecast category. And this forecast category is the field on the opportunity that drives the forecast. So these are the stages: pipeline, best case, committed, omitted, won, or lost. So based on what my salespeople put the status of the opportunity at for the forecast category will drive where it shows on the forecast. So let's see if I can go back now and add from an option set. I'm going to go back one level, and then I'm going to go forward. Okay, so I'm just going to bring you back to a forecast I've already created, and this is the annual forecast here. I'm going to go to the layout. So when we go to layout, we do see that I added all of the values here from that forecast column. So prediction, pipeline, quota, best case, committed, omitted, lost, and won. And so it's going to create a preview of what this forecast is going to look like. Okay, so it says here's the column headings: prediction, pipeline, quota, best case, committed, omitted, lost. I can move those around. So I can say I want to put quota as the first column, and I want to say prediction, then the opportunities that are in the pipeline, the best case, committed, omitted, lost, and over here on the right, we see the won opportunities. Now you'll see there is a line underneath one that shows where we are at versus our forecast total. So right now we're at 75%. So I'm going to click on save this. And then I'm going to show you another thing that I won't be able to change on this forecast, but you can also add additional filters to your forecast. So let's say you want to say, don't include any opportunities in this forecast unless budget has been determined by the prospective client as a checkoff, or that you've put it in a estimated revenue in the field. So if estimated revenue does not contain data, filter that out. We don't want to include that in this opportunity. So we do get a lot of control over what we can include or not include in these opportunities. So I'm going to now go to my next step here. And I do want to show you the next stage. So the next thing you would do with a forecast is you would want to add your data for quotas into the forecast. And that's done by downloading a template into Excel. So there's a template that's downloaded into Excel, and you want to enable editing. And what you want to do is put in the values for each person in the forecast for each quarter for their required their goals. So I've already set this up that Deborah has 30,000 in Q1 and 40 in Q2 and 50 in Q3, et cetera, et cetera. Once I've updated these data, I would save them, and then I upload them into Excel, from Excel into Dynamics right here. And once it's done that, it'll do some processing in the background. And if I click Finish, I will have this all set up. So once this is all done, I can now go to my forecast. So if I click on Sales and I go to Forecasts, we'll see I have a couple of forecasts I can choose from. My annual forecast, my sample forecast. So I could have multiple forecasts available to me, but this is the one we were just looking at here. So when I look at this one here, it shows that Brian Begley has a quota of $80,000 in Q2, and Deborah has a quota of $40,000 in Q2. Pipeline is $27,000. I've have committed sales of 75,000, and I so far have won 37,000. So I'm at 46%. I can click on my name here, and will bring up all of my opportunities that I currently have in process. Looking at this, it shows that I have only 2 open opportunities. So I want to show you how adding new opportunities into CRM will affect my my forecast. So let's go to create a new opportunity. I'm just going to create a very simple opportunity. Let's put a few fields in here. Let me save this. So by default, it puts this opportunity in the forecast category for pipeline. I want to give this some revenue and an estimated close date. I'm going to set it to be closing in this quarter, and I'm going to give it revenue of $85,000. Okay. Now I click Save. I do want to test one thing before I do this. I want to make sure it's set with the right business process flow ribbon. Okay. All right. So I've set this up. Now if I go to the forecast, I did add that new opportunity, and let's see if it shows up in the view here. It's right here. It's an $85,000 opportunity. But what you notice is it's not showing up in this pipeline. That's because we do need to occasionally recalculate the forecasts. We click on recalculate, and it tells us when was the last time that this calculation occurred. So it takes about a minute or so to recalculate pipelines and forecasts. When it does, it will, when the calculation is completed, it will let me know that the data is out of date in the view that I'm looking at. All right, see, so it says fresh data is available, and it tells me to refresh the page. So now because I added that new opportunity for $85,000, it's showing my pipeline is 112,000, and my best case and my committed stay the same. Now, I as a manager can come in here and say, you know, Brian, hey, I think you're being a little aggressive right here. I think you need to look at this as not $100,000 or an $85,000, but let's adjust this down. And I can add a note as to why I'm adjusting this down. I think I adjusted this. I'm sorry, I adjusted this. So we'll say it's not 112,000, it's a $90,000 opportunity. So I can, as a sales manager, make adjustments for my sales team. So Deb here has this as a committed opportunity for 12,000. I can go in and make an adjustment to that to be a $14,000 committed opportunity. This doesn't overwrite the values in the opportunity records. It just gives me as a manager the ability to kind of fine tune these reports that are created. So now if I take that one opportunity and I'm going to do this, I'm going to click on my name again, and I'm going to show this as a Kanban. And so I can take this $85,000 opportunity that's currently in my pipeline up here, and I can move this to a new stage. I can move it to best case. Okay. It's now updated the record in CRM. And if I recalculate that, it's going to move that opportunity from the pipeline to the best case scenario. And you'll see it's here, right here. Finally, I do want to show you one more thing after this. And that's what happens when an opportunity is marked as lost or an opportunity is marked as won. So I'm going to go into my opportunities again. Okay, let's refresh this page here. So you'll see that when we're looking at this, that this forecast opportunity has moved to my best case area from the pipeline. Now I'm going to go back to this opportunity. And I can just click on it from there, and it's going to pop up over the screen. I don't have to switch to the opportunity area to modify my view here. I'm going to open this opportunity up. I'm going to mark this opportunity as lost. And I'll say that the reason is it was canceled. I'm going to click Save and Close. Okay, so this opportunity is now lost. It's not a one opportunity. If I recalculate my forecast here, you're going to see that that opportunity should move into the lost column. So I'm just going to refresh the page, and we're not going to see it in the lost. And I'll tell you why we didn't see it in the lost. When we open that opportunity, I'm going to click on that opportunity. Let's see if I have it here. No, I don't. So I need to go back to my opportunity. This is a issue that I have seen that I think we need to work with as CRM partners when we're helping people do these forecasts. Is when I mark this opportunity as lost, it didn't update the forecast category to lost. So there should be some sort of business rule or workflow that needs to be built that says when you close an opportunity as either won or lost, you have to, that business rule or workflow will update the forecast category. So I'm going to reopen this opportunity. Okay, it's now been reopened. I'm going to say I lost it. I'm going to save, and then I'm going to actually use close as lost, discard changes, to mark this as a lost opportunity. So let's switch back to my forecast here. And when I do my recalculation, it's going to eventually show that those dollar items in my lost column. That's still not showing it there. Interesting. Okay. Well, that's how we got the opportunity here. That's one to show in the one category, is we had to have it show. I had to set the forecast value to 1, and that's what made it show here and shows that I'm reaching out at 46% of it. Maybe I have to refresh the page one more time. Nope, still not showing there. I'll have to look into why that's not showing there. I keep getting these notifications to refresh my page. So that's basically forecasting. We do have a report here that allows you to show the trend of where we are at. So for example, if I look at this trend analysis, I can look at on a single person basis that Brian Begley has a quota of 80,000. And so far he's won 37,000 to date, and he's committed 75. So he looks like he may or may not, he may get close to hitting his goal for the entire quarter ending June 30th. Deborah, on the other hand, she has a quota of 40,000. She has committed of 12,000, and she, as of today, has 1-0. So we could look at this and we'd be able to see that Deborah is currently behind and needs to work on getting some sales closed to make her goal. So this is the reporting that's currently available. I'm certain as Microsoft grows this program out, this forecasting out to the second version, that we'll start seeing even better reporting coming out of that. So with that, I have shown you everything I wanted to show you today. I apologize for the couple of mistakes that seem to have happened along the way, but if anybody has any questions, feel free to write them in the question box and we'll answer them. Otherwise, we've shown you everything we want to show. Just to give you a preview, our next webinar is scheduled for May 15th. And the topic of our next webinar is going to be about using Dynamics 365 and Power Apps with SMS messaging. So using Dynamics to send and receive texts from your clients, leads, and customers. You can use that for a lot of purposes to let them know when a opportunity has closed, or when a case has been resolved, or a case has been updated, or when you've shipped a product to a customer, or when a service person is on their way. And Cloud9's developed a solution that helps to make SMS messaging out of Dynamics a reality. So please feel free to join us. We'll be sending you out, after this webinar is over, our PowerPoint for today with notes and links to a couple of blog entries we've done on nCloud9 website specifically about forecasting. So please feel free to read them. Without any other questions, I'm just going to say thank you very much, and everybody have a good day. Thank you.